And then inevitably they become more crude, more gross, more vulgar, and eventually collapse. And they get, as they do so, they drift more and more into the left hemisphere's mode of being. And I believe we're in that stretch. We have been for arguably a few hundred years, but certainly since the Enlightenment, really, in a period when, although the Enlightenment was a marvelous movement, and if I'd been there at the time, I'd have been a great supporter of it. I think it's also a hubristic movement that overestimated what it could do and what its importance was. And we're reaping the benefits now. They are that we believe we can find all the answers to everything by simply doing more experiments, roughly speaking. So what are the differences between these two worlds like? I think that would be worth saying. Well, firstly, the left hemisphere's world, because it's focused on one thing that it knows and it wants to get it quickly, the left hemisphere is the quick and dirty one, not the right hemisphere. The right hemisphere is, as Ramachandran says, the devil's advocate. It's always going, yeah, but it might be something different. But the left hemisphere is in a great hurry. It wants to get it so that it can eat it. Grab it and have it. So it's not particularly interested. It might get it wrong sometimes, but who cares? So that's the left hemisphere. It's made up of little things that it knows what they are, that are separate, non-individual. I mean, it doesn't matter which rabbit it is or whether the rabbit has a family. It's a rabbit. I want to eat it. It doesn't understand anything that is not explicit. It understands the brute fact of the something there that it can grab, pick up and take. In doing so, it's taking the individual embodied being and making it an abstract representative of a category. It's a rabbit, it's a twig, it's a whatever it is. It is also distancing itself from whatever that is in the sense that it is the manipulator of it. It's not interested in a relationship with it, it's interested in just getting it. And this kind of world builds up a picture which is literally inanimate. So people who have right hemisphere damage often talk about living creatures, including other living people, as say automata or zombies. They begin to see themselves as possibly like that, or describe themselves as having the qualities of a piece of furniture. So the animacy has been lost. But so has everything else that makes things important. And these are the things the right hemisphere sees. It doesn't see anything as ultimately entirely isolated or entirely fixed. It sees things as always changing, interweaving themselves with other things, having meaning which goes beyond the explicit. In fact, sometimes what is not said is as important as what is said. It understands poetry and jokes, both of which depend on not explaining what's going on. When you explain a joke, you kill it. When you explain a poem and reduce it to a few banal sentences about how painful it is when somebody you love dies, you've destroyed the poem. The poem was also unique, and it just becomes another example of something in the left hemisphere. The poem was embodied. It didn't just affect your intellect, but in reading it, it had effects on your embodied being, on your blood pressure, on your heart rate. It can have effects make your hair stand on end, or bring tears to your eyes, or make you sweat, or whatever. So all the right hemisphere is embodied, physical, complex, interconnected, never exactly pinnable down, and ever more evolving into being. Whereas the left hemisphere sees things where all that is finished and dead. It is cut up into bits, and the bits are recognized and added up, and the more of them there are, the better. Never mind about quality, we're interested in quantity. And you can imagine that what this results is two kinds of a world. One is like the real living, unpredictable world that you actually encounter from second to second. And the other is like a reproduction, like a map or a film or whatever, where everything is already in place and is just a representation of what was originally a living thing and present. Because after all, representation means being present again when you are no longer present. So the left hemisphere's world is this non-world, and the right hemisphere's world is this vivid living world. And what I think has happened in our time is that we have come so much to believe in our helpful map, the schema, the diagram that enabled us to exploit, that we think that's all that there is. And it's like somebody who tries to live in the map instead of living in the world that is mapped. This has a lot of damaging consequences. It means that everything has to be, if you like, converted into a web of algorithms, procedures, and rules. So what used to be intuitive responses, commonsensical responses to two human situations between them is now one in which whatever you're doing, the other person is, oh, I'm sorry, the system won't let me do that. No, the computer says no, and all this. So they are only stuck in what the system allows, which is almost never a reflection of what real life is, because real life doesn't fit into those categories. So I think that happens, and leaders think that, you see, the power, let me talk a bit about values. The one single value of the left hemisphere is power. The power to control. And this is what, going back to the evolution of the two hemisphere system suggests, is that the left hemisphere is the grabber. It's the one that gets stuff. And so it's really only interested in having control of things. If it hasn't got control of things, it's anxious. So if the left hemisphere begins to take over, we're anxious about everything that doesn't seem to be already under control. So the natural world is intrinsically a source of danger. It must be administrated, brought under departments, have people who go out in little uniforms and create paths and destroy the natural nature of it. There will be a hatred of the human body, an attack on it, because it has all kinds of unpredictable qualities. It can get ill, it can fall in love, and then what on earth will happen then? And it might get ill and die. And so we resist this thing that is the only way through which we can experience life. We see it as whatever is over and against our will. And so the left hemisphere's field is one of will. If I can just create enough departments and enough special interest groups who will investigate and evaluate, we'll get there. But of course, that process in itself uses colossal energy, distracts one from everything that really is important, and becomes a tyranny in itself. There's a wonderful book, by the way, called The Tyranny of Metrics. And it's by Jerry, can't remember his surname now. But anyway, look up The Tyranny of Metrics, all those who are listening or whatever. But he explains in ways that just make it clear what we all sense about the ridiculous way in which our lives are overlaid with more and more and more rules. So much so that actually just trying to answer the questions and follow the rules and tick the boxes can take up half of one's life. And time is important. Time is life. When your time is taken away, your life is drained away from you. So that's part of the world we're in now. And I think that managers, instead of allowing as light a hand on the tiller as possible, so that people are free to use their initiative, their intuitions, their insight, want to micro-control things. And when you do that, of course, the whole project becomes sclerotic and eventually dies.